Reading from Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. Those who are preachers, they are better sadhu than those who have gone to Himalaya. The sadhus who have gone to Himalaya for the personal benefit, that is also good. But those sadhus who are preaching and facing so many difficulties, so many opposing elements, they are better sadhus. They are better sadhu. They are fighting for Krishna's sake. Sitting there in a secluded place, not to be bothered by any sadhu, that is also nice, but that is personal interest. But those sadhus who are not gone to Himalaya, but have left Vrindavan, easy life, and gone to fight to the world, they are better sadhu. That is the opinion of Krishna. Those who are preaching these messages of Bhagavad Gita, facing many opposing elements, many difficulties, Krishna says, Nachatasmas manusyeshu. Nobody is dearer than him. So if you want to come very quickly under the recognition of Krishna, then every one of you become a preacher of Krishna consciousness. That is the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text number 4. Dehapatya Kalatradishu Atma Sainyeshu Asatsvapi Tesham Pramatto Nidhanam Pashyan Api Na Pashyati Dehapatya Kalatradishu Atma-sainyeshu asatsvapi Tesham pramatto nidhanam Pasyan api na pashyati. Deha, body, apatya, children, kalatra, wife, adishu, and in everything in relation to them, atma, own, sainyeshu, fighting soldiers, asatsu, fallible, api, in spite of, tesham, of all of them, pramattaha, too attached, nidhanam, destruction, pashyan, having been experienced, api, although, na, does not, pashyati, see it. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. Persons devoid of ātma-tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. Kindly repeat the translation. Person devoid of ātma-tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Purport. The material world is called the world of death. Every living being, beginning from Brahmā, whose duration of life is some thousands of millions of years, down to the germs, who live for a few seconds only, is struggling for existence. Therefore, this life is a sort of flight with material nature, which imposes death upon all. In the human form of life, a living being is competent enough to come to an understanding of this great struggle for existence. But being too attached to the family members, society, country, etc., he wants to win over the invincible material nature by the aid of bodily strength, children, wife, relatives, etc. Although he is sufficiently experienced in the matter by the dint of past experience and previous examples of his deceased predecessors, he does not see that the so-called fighting soldiers like the children, relatives, society members, and the countrymen are all fallible in this great struggle. One should examine that the fact his father or his father's father has already died, and that he himself is therefore also sure to die. And similarly, his children, who are the would-be fathers of their children, will also die in due course. No one will survive in the struggle with the material nature. The history of the human society definitely proves it. Yet the foolish people still suggest that in the future they will be able to live perpetually with the help of material science. This poor fund of knowledge exhibited by the human society is certainly misleading, and it is all due to ignoring the constitution of the living soul. The material world exists only as a dream due to our attachment to it. Otherwise, the living soul is always different from the material nature. The great ocean of material nature is tossing with the waves of the time, and the so-called living conditions are something like forming bubbles, which appears before us as bodily self, wife, children, society, countrymen, etc. Due to a lack of knowledge of self, we become victimized by the force of ignorance and thus spoil the valuable energy of the human life in a vain search after permanent living conditions which are impossible in this material world. Our friends, relatives, and so-called wives and children are not only fallible but also bewildered by the outward glamour of material existence. As such, they cannot save us. Still, we think that we are safe within the orbit of the family, society, or country. The whole materialistic advancement of human civilization is like the decoration of a dead body. Everyone is a dead body, flapping only for a few days, and yet all the energy of the human life is being wasted in the decoration of this dead body. Śukadeva Gosvāmī is pointing out the duty of the human being after showing the actual position of bewildered human activities. Persons who are devoid of knowledge of ātma-tattva are misguided, but those who are devotees of the Lord and have perfect realization of transcendental knowledge are not bewildered. The sense of Bhakti Vedanta Purport. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvāmī Prajāyate Devi Sheshāshri Vādi Vācāli Prajāyate Jai Shri Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a wonderful verse, Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a thought-provoking verse that we would have heard many times, but every time we hear, it's as good as that we hear for the first time, right? So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is called as revolutionary knowledge the scripture gives us. So few days back, I was just watching one podcast on the YouTube. Some of you might be knowing there is one person by name Nikhil Kamath, who is the founder of Zerodha Investments. So basically this organization invests a lot of money in different business houses and makes money out of it. So this Nikhil Kamath, he keeps interviewing many famous people across the globe. So as such, he invited one very famous person from the USA. So his name is Brian Johnson. So he had organized this podcast shooting in one of the 7-star facilities in New Delhi. And most of you would have seen this podcast, right? How they will happen. The person who is interviewing will sit on one chair, and the other side, who is being interviewed, he will be sitting. So the podcast is going on, and this man is answering very patiently to all the questions. And I see that there is a small device, this Brian Johnson's was hanging in his neck. Something similar to the Narasimha Kavacha that what we all wear, right? So over a period of time, this small device which is there in the neck, it starts beeping, tuk, 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 like that. And immediately this man gets out of the chair and walks out of the room without telling anything to even the interviewer, that is Nikhil Kamath. And after some time, he receives a message that the air conditions, the air pollution conditions in that particular room are very dangerous condition. So that's why I went out of that particular room. That's what Brian Johnson says to Nikhil Kamath. Then I was wondering what this man is doing. So then I went into Google and I little bit researched about this man. And this man is building a cult which is named as Don't Die. What is the name of the cult? Don't Die. Can we imagine? And for that, what and all he is doing? The documentary says every day he takes 54 pills. How we offer chapan bhog to the Lord, right? So he is taking every day 54 pills. For what? Not to die. And he has undergone so many therapies, like plasma therapy, which I would have never heard about it. They think that the plasma from the younger people, if they take and inject into their bodies, they will also become much younger. He took the plasma from his own son and he has injected into his own body. And later, he has given his plasma to his father also, so that he will not die. And afterwards, he has undergone something called as gene therapy. All of us, we know that our bodies are made up of some different genes, DNAs and all that, right? So they believe that by altering these genes, the DNA and all that, we can extend the life. Like that, so many things he is doing. And you know how much money he is spending for that? Every month, $20 million. You know how much is in Indian currency? It is roughly 16 crores of rupees every month. And for what? Not to die. But what Bhagavatam says exactly here is completely different. Completely different. That's what it says in the Purport. Due to the lack of knowledge of self, we become victimized by the force of ignorance and thus spoil the valuable energy of the human life in a vain search after permanent living conditions, which are impossible in this material world. It's not possible. Just it's not possible. Why these things are happening? As it says in the translation, persons devoid of ātma-tattva. They don't know what is ātma-tattva. They never try to understand. They simply try to understand this material energy. They try to relate each other thing and try to see how we can explore all these things and exploit all these things so that our pleasure of this body can be continued. Right? So the main reason why, one more main reason why all these things are happening, as it is said in the translation, there is a lot of attachment to the fallible soldiers like body, children and wife, etc. Don't think that wife means only wife, maybe it's on the other side also, like even husbands, right? So it's vice versa for everyone. So we think that because of this attachment, we can try to save our life. Shri Radha Govind ki. So once we have so much attachment towards this body, we start building so many things in and around us to protect this particular body, right? For example, you buy a new mobile. What do you do immediately? You will put a screen guard, you will put a cover around it, right? Anything you get some, because you are attached to that mobile. Hey, I got a new mobile, I have to protect it. It is mine. There is an attachment. Similarly, you have so much attachment to this body and then you start protecting it. You'll try to see what all the different things which are available in this material world so that I can start protecting this particular body. That's how we start getting married. We think that our wife or husband will give a lot of protection to us, and then we produce our children. Why? We think that our children will help us. They will protect us from all these material dangerous conditions. And then we buy a house, we buy a car, we build our bank balances, we take insurance policies. So many things we do in this world with one single reason. What is that? To protect our body. But what Bhagavatam says is here it is completely contradictory. It says you can't protect your body. You cannot. Every other day we see that. This is what it says in Bhagavatam, this particular verse purport. Every day we see our grandfathers have passed away, our relatives are passed away, our friends are passed away, our known people are passed away. You open internet, you open newspaper, anywhere you see this fellow passed away, that fellow passed away. All big people, industrialists, famous people, film stars, whatnot. Everybody is passing away every other day. But we think that I am going to be here permanently. The main reason is just attachment to this particular body. It's not so easy to come out of this bodily concept of life and try to understand the forces of this material energy. Now let's see some of the examples from the Srimad Bhagavatam, wonderful pastimes, how there's so many devotees, in spite of having, at an elevated stage, even they will try to, do here and there, right? For example, to start with, Azamila, right? All of us, we know the story of Azamila, what happened, right? I don't want to narrate the whole pastime that all of us, we know, right? So at the end of the life, to protect himself, whom did he call upon? His younger son, thinking that his son will protect me. The Yamadutas have come, they are pulling me away, they are taking me away to the hellish conditions. Please come and protect me. He is calling out the younger boy. But can that could younger boy protect Azamila? But in reality, who could protect him? The real Narayana. Right? So see, even Azamila was so much understood about spiritual science in his younger life. But at the end of the life, what was his conclusion? He could not able to recall all these things. Though by mistake, somehow he called son Narayana, but the Narayana sound reached Vaikunta and the Lord could able to protect him. And let us take the example of Pandavas leaving their bodies. Right? If you go through Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, in the 15th chapter, if I am not wrong, Pandavas retired timely. There is a chapter, right? So there, even Draupadi, an exalted devotee, right? It's so, such a wonderful husband, all the Pandavas. She thought that, oh, these people are all very powerful, my husbands. They can protect me very nicely. They will take care of me. Right? But what happened when the time come? There is one small verse. In the 15th chapter and 50th verse, Draupadi cha tadagnaya patinam anapekshatam vasudeve bhagavati hi ekanta matir apatam, which translate into, Draupadi also saw that her husbands, without caring for her, were leaving home. She knew well about Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Both she and Subhadra became absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and attained the same results as their husbands. Though she was thinking, they will all protect me, what happened here? Nobody cared for her. When the time of going out from this material world it came, all the Pandavas, they took their own paths. They went to Himalayas and they did, of course, it's a long story to cut short. They all went off without even, they didn't call also, Draupadi, please come along with us. No. Prabhupada gives a wonderful example in the Purport. When flying an airplane, one cannot take care of other planes. Everyone has to take care of his own plane, and if there is any danger, no other plane can help another in that condition. Similarly, at the end of life, when one has to go back home, back to Godhead, everyone has to take care of himself without help rendered by another. The help is, however, offered on the ground before flying into the space. Similarly, the spiritual master, the father, the mother, the relatives, the husband, and others can all render help during one's lifetime. But while crossing the sea, one has to take care of himself and utilize the instruction formally received. Draupadi had 5 husbands, and no one asked Draupadi to come. Draupadi had to take care of herself without waiting for her great husbands. See, nobody called her. As a beautiful example has been given here, when the flight is being flight, we have to take care of our flight on our own. Nobody will come and jump into our flight and they will take control of our flight. However, we will all get very good training when we are on the ground. So similarly, now we are all getting trained up by Prabhupada. Try to receive all these instructions as much as possible. Imbibe them as much as possible, so that antyakalecha mameva, when at the end of our life, when it comes, we try to remember them and cross over this ocean of material nature. Here it says even spiritual master doesn't accompany us. Nobody comes. Husband, wife, children, society, leaders, nobody comes. We have to cross over all alone, all alone. Right? So that's how the pastime of the Pandavas leaving the bodies, And at the end, when Draupadi understood, oh, I have to take care of myself, then she also started focusing her mind on the Lord, and she also attained the same position as her husbands attained. So then let's see one more small pastime which is very famous, that is Gajendra Moksha. Right? So what happened in the Gajendra Moksha? The Gajendra Moksha, very well we know that, right? The king of the elephant, he goes for a ride with all his family members, and in that small, pond, the crocodile comes and holds the leg of the Gajendra. And how many years this fighting went on between the crocodile and the elephant? 1,000 years it went on. Can we imagine? 1,000 years. Gajendra is thinking, I can fight back. I can get out of this clutch. And he is asking, all his family members are there on the bank of the pond. Wife is there, children are there, friends are there, relatives, all other elephants are there. Could anyone protect Gajendra? Nobody could protect. Nobody could protect. And finally, the Gajendra, it is very nicely depicted in the 8th chapter and 8th canto and the 2nd chapter. The translation of that verse, it says, the other elephants who are my friends and relatives could not rescue me from this danger. What then to speak of my wives? They cannot do anything. It is by the will of providence that I have been attacked by this crocodile, and therefore I shall seek shelter of personality of Godhead, and who is always the shelter of everyone, even of great personalities. So Gajendra could able to understand and recognize all these people will never be able to protect me. And finally, what did he do? He took the shelter of Vishnu, and then Vishnu appeared and he could able to deliver Gajendra. Right? So in the purport of this Gajendra's pastime, even it is very nicely said, Prahlad Maharaj, one reference has been given, Balasya neha sharanam pitarau nrisimha nartasya chagadam vudanvati mattajonau, which roughly translate into, we may invent so many ways to be happy or to counteract the dangers of this material world, but unless our attempts are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will never make us happy. You see, we may do so many things in order to protect ourselves, right? As I was telling so many things, right? We have our wives and children and the society, the country. Like if we talk about, international borders, if you look at the Israel and all these people, they have very high technology. Like I, keep hearing the technology of Iron Dome. If some, missiles and all these things are fired, the Iron Dome protects that particular country up to a certain extent. But what Prahlad Maharaj says here, unless our attempts are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will never make us happy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead should allow this to happen. Only then all these things can protect us. Otherwise, mere technology cannot help us anyway. So what Bhagavatam means to say is, the root cause of all this technological intervention is that the attachment to our body, our family, our society, and our country, all these things. That's the reason we keep doing all these things. Attachment. This is the root cause. But in contrary to this, if you go through Bhagavad Gita, there are many items of the knowledge has been given, and Bhagavad Gita gives the different perspective of all these items of the knowledge. Right? One of the items of the knowledge is that Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Right? The birth, death, old age, and the disease. Many people, they don't understand even these simple factors. Only intellectual people can understand up to a certain extent. Recently in another podcast, one of the American was interviewing our Prime Minister Modi, and he was asking the same kind of a question. Mr. Modi, are you afraid of the death? He asked the question. And I was surprised to see Modi answered in the spiritual perspective. He said, the moment I was born, my death also has been born. So why I have to worry about the death? That's why we call it as sure as death. Right? It is for sure, it will come. Why we have to fear about it? Right? So, the main reason is we don't understand all these things because the Lord's energy, the Maya, is acting in its potency. It has got two potencies, right? What are the two potencies of Maya? Avaranatmika, Pratyapakshika, right? So it will cover very nicely all of us, so nicely, so that you will never understand you don't belong to this world. You are not this body. You will never be able to understand. You will nicely, seamlessly will think that you are this body. It's very difficult to understand. In case, if the body had a voice, you should have told actually, hey, I am not you, you are a different person. But it's very difficult to understand. It's very difficult to understand. So whatever we build all these things to protect this body, the Kala, Guna and Karma, all these things will never leave. Everything it will diminish, especially the Kala. Everything it will kill. Everything it will kill off. Many times when we go to our well-wishers or donors or known people, sometimes they may say, Swamiji, you are very fortunate. You would have done so many pious activities, and that's why you have been given such a wonderful life of spiritual life. And we feel very proud of it, right? Oh, I have done so many things in my life. That's why I have been gifted. That's why I have been given this kind of a spiritual life. But actually it is not true. The main reason why we have been given this spiritual life is the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord. Without any reason, the divine grace has been given to us. It's been gifted to us. There is no reason for that. That's why we see some of the devotees, we don't expect them that, they become some good devotees or they may join ashram and all that, but all of a sudden they come forward and they express that they want to take up the spiritual life. Because the divine grace has come upon him. We should never ever undermine this divine grace activities in our life. Don't think that I have done something great and it has come to us. It is just by Lord's mercy it has come to us. And how this divine grace is been given? It is flowing down from the Supreme Personality of the Godhead through the Guru Parampara. Don't think that you are identified now, you are not this body. So that's why this divine grace has been given. No. In the search of ātma-tattva, we may end up, becoming a Mayavadi, we may become, end up some other thing. But how we could able to get this perfect knowledge and understand the relationship between the soul, body and the super soul? It is just because of the causeless mercy of our Guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. There is no other reason, no other reason, no other reason. Many times, we think that, okay, I am following this austerity, that austerity and all that. Yeah, it is good that you may follow. Like yesterday, Ekadashi was there. Somebody was, nirjal, somebody was doing only some fruit, somebody was not taking anything. So, somebody may be following non-grains and all those things. But when you're following austerities, it's only an indication that you're ready to receive that divine grace. But you cannot force that I am now doing all these things, so you have to give me. No. You cannot demand, you cannot dictate. You can just do whatever the things that you are supposed to do. And it's up to Srila Prabhupada that he can give this divine grace to us or not. So all of us, we should remember that this is a wonderful opportunity that we have been given under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. And as and when we keep practicing more rigorously, the more you follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, then the further dose of the divine grace will be given to us more and more. And that's how you start progressing in your spiritual life. Otherwise, even there, we feel stagnated somewhere or the other. That is because somewhere or the other we are lacking. So that's why we should be always grateful to our spiritual master and the whole Guru Parampara that they have given us this divine grace without any cause. Without any cause. It's very difficult to understand. Many times we think that because we are always karmic. I did that and I will get that. I do this and I will get that. We have been born and brought up and we have led our life in that sense, in that direction. That's why even after becoming full-time in this organization, we keep thinking in that same direction. But at least now this is a time that we should start changing our perspective. Don't link all these things. And we should have that great gratitude towards our Acharyas and Guru Parampara. So this is what is being said in Bhagavatam, this particular purport. Of course, there are so many other points. I will not be able to explain because of the lack of time. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.